Hello and welcome. A couple of weeks ago I did a trombone quartet featuring Vivaldi's Spring, just a short extract of the theme of that, and I played it on a pair of over 100-year-old trombones. In this video what I'm going to be doing is playing that same extract on a pair of modern trombones, and then we're going to talk about the difference. So in the old one I used a very old G bass trombone and a tenor trombone, a CG Con. In this video I'm going to be featuring a Bach Stradivarius 50 B3 bass trombone. It is from 1983, but it is the same sort of style and principles that's still being made today. And I'm going to feature also my Getson 3047 AFR tenor trombone from 1993. So again, it's not brand new, but these are the same style of instruments that are being made today. First we'll start with the old trombones. And now the modern trombones. Now that you've listened to both of those renditions of the quartet, I hope you can hear some of the significant differences that there are in the sound that these trombones make. First of all, the trombones themselves have got a lot bigger. Trombones of that age, particularly the tenor trombones, are used to having a bell of between 6 and 7 inches in diameter, and sometimes even smaller. The bore of the instrument itself is very, very small, and it creates a very thin, quite a sort of almost tinny sound. Whereas modern trombones have, a modern tenor trombone with a trigger can have a bell as big as 8.5 inches as standard, and the bass trombones themselves have bells 9.5 through to 10.5 inches. And that makes a real difference when combined with the larger bore of the main tubing. It creates a sound that is much bigger, it has a larger interface with the ear, so the sound resonates in a completely different way. And personally, my preference is for the modern sound, and that's probably why we are left with instruments that have those characteristics. One of the other differences that I want to touch on is that the treatment of bass trombones back then was as an extension of tenor trombones. So the G bass trombone was an instrument that had a very similar bell size, a very similar bore size, but it was just pitched in the key of G instead of B flat. It was designed to make a sound fairly similar to the tenor trombone, but just with a few extra notes at the bottom of the range. Whereas modern instruments, there is usually quite a clear difference between tenor trombones and bass trombones. The sound of a bass trombone is very identifiable, whereas the sound difference between a G trombone and a tenor trombone of that period, there isn't such a difference between the two. And I think that's part of the characteristic in the maturing of the bass trombone as its own instrument and not as just an extension of the tenor trombone. So I hope you found this video interesting. If you've got any questions or comments as a follow-up to this, feel free to put them down in the video description below, and I or somebody else will respond to them. Thanks very much for watching.